The suffering ego, or as I prefer to talk about it now, the suffering consciousness, it's the consciousness of ourselves that normally leads our life, make our choices, and it's like the frequency channel where we are living most of our days all the time. And it's the consciousness that have been shaped by all the sufferings that we had since we were born, probably even beyond. And it has a way of working that needs to protect our being from the suffering, from the possibility of the suffering. So, if you had before a painful experience about something, our suffering consciousness is going to produce partial truths that we are going to believe them as universal truth or laws, and we are going to see the world through this filter of all these partial truths. And in fact, instead of avoiding the pain, what we are doing is to miss the present time, and we are going to provoke more pain to ourselves and more pain to the people around us. The suffering consciousness is the one that traps the consciousness of the soul and takes the lead, and in fact is only responding to our pains from the past, guilt, anger, sadness, and all what was uncomfortable and difficult for us. When the soul consciousness is able to raise up to the surface, and that's one of the main parts of my work, then it takes the lead of the person, and in front of any new situation, instead of reacting as a robot by an automatic pattern that the suffering consciousness created, this time your soul consciousness is going to be able to apply the wisdom from the heart. It has to do with gratitude, with pardon, love in all its ways and forms, and courage, and all the families of the qualities of the heart, which well, it's a little longer to explain right now, because that's the subject of a longer explanation, and like a map to understand. And all what most of the healers and cleaners do is to work with the suffering consciousness, to clean it out from the wounds of the past. And I think we can say that mostly of the spiritual work that is proposed all over the world since ancient times in spiritual schools, in religions, and other spiritual systems, it's all about shutting off the noise of the suffering consciousness and letting the consciousness of the soul come on. And that's something that I do in my work, in my personal sessions, and also I do in Peru with the sacred plants and exposure to the sacred spots. It's about raising up inside ourselves our soul consciousness. I'm sure the world should be a better place if we could be able to overcome suffering consciousness. And all the bad things, the violence, the greed, our empowering over others, are just responses and automatisms of the suffering consciousness that leads mostly all the time the different individuals. If we are talking that a warrior shaman is working against suffering in the world, we are working against the labyrinth and the ignorance of the suffering consciousness.